The whole 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Either there's two options. Either you're born in the material world or you go to the spiritual world. So what's the dilemma? If you don't attain siddhi and prema, then you come back. And how do you come back? Karanam guna sangha sad sarasadyani janmasu.
Then again it will take this much time to meet Guru and go on.
That's with Krishna. It varies. It's not that. In other words, this life it took 35 years or whatever to find shelter of spiritual teacher. But next life, because obviously part of your cultivation, your mind, you'll be thinking as you're speaking now, oh, I wasted so much of my life. So that kind of thinking, if it becomes deep, then it registers with Krishna, ye tamam prapadyante. Krishna wants us to begin spiritual life from the very beginning. On behalf of Krishna, Prahlad, was it Dhruva Maharaj? What was it? Yeah, Prahlad Maharaj is speaking as a young boy in school. Although he's born a demoniac father, he is obviously a great devotee, born in a demoniac family. He was a Sura devotee, born in an Asura family. Very common. Very, very common nowadays. So he was telling his fellow children, classmates, Komara acharit pragyo dharamam bhagavatam miha. Listen, boys, we're Kumaras, Krishna Kumara, Gopa Kumara. We're young boys. We should start this Bhagavad Dharma right now. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. We should just have tiff an hour, forget about playing cards and looking at our cell phones. Let's have a kirtan. Stop surfing on your phone or looking at your Facebook or emails during the lunch break. Have kirtan. Sit down, I'll read the Bhagavatam. So he said from the very earliest of youth. So we don't know. This life, 34, maybe next life, 54, maybe 4. We see young boys here, they come when they're 7 years old. And they look like little miniature Babajis. big net peas and Jai Radhe written on their chests in Bengali. And they're going around with their an older brother or uncle, who knows what, living in an ashram, blissful. Bhagya. So obviously you're cultivating the desire, we're cultivating so many desires and so many wants, and they will become the substance of our consciousness, and we'll get this suitable reaction for that. So if you're always thinking spiritual thoughts and spiritual activities, then you'll be born in a very auspicious spiritual situation. And Gita chapter 6, 41, 42, Krishna says, because you're asking the same question, well, if I don't become sadhana siddha, what happens to a lousy bum grihastha like me? Krishna says, Partha naiveha namutra vinashas tasya vidyate nahi kalyana krit kaschid durgatam tatagachati. The Lord of Shri said, that's really cool, Sri Bhagavan. That's interesting. Neither in this world nor in the next world is a devotee vanquished. Anyone who is sincere, my dear friend, walks not the road of misfortune. Oh, that's interesting. Prabhupada's translation, he says, for one who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. I rather like that one. But he wanted to make it different. So Arjuna is saying, well, what happens? Krishna, there's a whole group of questions here. Oh, Krishna, what happens to that South Indian Grihastha Brahmin, who although he has faith, he doesn't control his senses. What happens to his mind when he falls away from yoga and he hasn't achieved siddhi? And then Arjuna says, isn't he lost? And all his transcendental practices is just like an empty cloud floating in the sky. These are my shamshaya. You're asking the same thing. Please cut through them, for no one other than you can destroy them completely. And Krishna says this, neither in this world now or in the next life is a devotee vanquished. So all compassionate Krishna's heart is going out to Arjuna. He's basically what's Krishna saying? He's saying sincerity is invincible. Nahi kalyan krit kaschit dugratam tattagachi. Anyone who does good is never overcome by evil. With this assurance, one should practice yoga. The verse has the word tata, like we say tatapad. Siddha Krishnadas tatapad means like father, affectionate father. The word tata indicates great affection on the part of Krishna. He's speaking here like as a fatherly guru to his son-like disciple. That's very nice. He's saying, Nahi kalyana krit kaschit drugatam tata gacchati. Tata. My dear friend, kaschit, kalyan krit, anyone who's doing bhakti, that's the greatest kalyan, bhakti, greatest virtuous transcendental activity. Good for you and everyone, the whole world too. Durgatim, they don't go to a bad goal, they don't go to a bad place. They don't face misfortune. He doesn't go there. Nagachati. Tata, hey my friend. So the fatherly guru to the son-like disciple. Then Krishna says, 41, 42, prapya punya, prapya punya kritam how's it go? Prapya punya kritam lokam ushitva shasvati sama. No.
The two verses he gave together.
I know. I'm trying to think of the melody. Or it's just it's just 3-line verses. Prapya punya kritam lokam ushitva shasvati sama. Suchinam shimatam gehe yoga brasha vijayate. Yeah. So that's it. Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shasvati samaha. Suchinam shimatam gehe yoga brashto vijayate. He who has fallen from the bhakti yoga attains heaven. So, you'll go to heaven and have a good time. For a long time. Then you'll be born again in a pious aristocratic family. Or, if you really luck out, you may be born into a family of wise transcendentalists. Rare is such a birth in this world. Either way, it's a good deal. The neophyte bhakti yogi, he will after he exhausts his punya on the heavenly planets, he'll take birth in a family that provides him economic freedom or a pious situation to which he can pick up where he left off in his spiritual practice. Many of the Western devotees that joined Prabhupada were just like this. They were born in such a situation that they never had to work, and they could immediately, as soon as they could, take up the bhakti. Buddhi samyogam labate purvadehikam. This is for it. Buddhi samyogam labate purvadehikam. Purvabhyasena riyate yavasha. Sa. Purva abhyasena riyate yavasha. This is 40. So he regains regains the subtle. He regains the subtle body or the buddhi of his prior body. It's very far out. Takes 43. So Krishna is telling, what happens to the devotee who doesn't go to the spiritual world to Brahma Vrindavan, take birth from the womb of Gopi? He gets this. Buddhi yogam labhate purva dehikam. Deha means sharir. Purva means your prior, your previous birth. You attain, in this life you have you're cultivating the intelligence of a devotee and thinking like a devotee and desiring and willing and acting like a devotee. That buddhi, that discrimination. Accept everything favorable for Krishna's pleasure. Reject everything unfavorable. This is devotional buddhi, devotional discrimination. Everything for the satisfaction and pleasure and happiness of Krishna. Accepted and done and executed with a favorable mind and a happy, joyful heart. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karamadi anavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhakti uttama. This is Uttam Bhakti. So Krishna is saying in 643 of Gita, Buddhi yogam labhate purva deyakam. In the next life you'll get this good intelligence to be a devotee and think like a devotee. It will come to you. Krishna will give it to you. Krishna is telling. Buddhi samyog. Buddhi samyog labhate. That intelligence which fully connects you with me, that intelligence which fully connected you with me in your purva dehikam, in your prior life, you'll get in the next life. So this is Krishna's telling. So this is our answer out what happens to devotee. All these things are happening. 643. Tatratam buddhisam tatratam buddhisam yogham labhate purvadehikam yatate chatato bhuya samsiddho kurunandana. He regains the yogic intelligence, bhakti buddhi, cultivated in his previous life, and once again he strives for perfection. Here we go again. And again. And again. I have to go again. And that's right. Back to square one. No, not back to square one, back to square two. Because you crossed square one in this life. So you start at square two in your next life.